Hello, Little Mouse, Chapter 26, a Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction written and narrated by Mira. Artwork by CandyFluffs on Instagram. You can find a link to her in the description box below. She also has her own store, so go check her out. If you haven't already, check out the previous 25 chapters of the story. You can find links to those in the description box as well. Now then, if you are still listening and haven't commented or subscribed, go do that. If you don't know what to comment, put subway bathroom. Please enjoy Hello, Little Mouse, Chapter 26. Adrien Agreste. Not sure if he dreamt his afternoon.
What's wrong, kid? Forget something?
Adrien didn't bother to look at his Kwame. They were in the subway restroom, with grime and trash and who knows what else on every surface.
I did that,
he whispered.
I did that? Yeah, you left behind some perfectly fine cheddar I was aging. How about you check in with me first? Because, making things go boom is kind of my thing. You could have at least given me a day to mess with him,
Plagg tried catching his eye, but Adrien kept reeling over his self-induced adventure.
I did that!
Adrien yelled, pumping a fist and taking a deep breath, which proved to be a mistake because, well, he was in the subway, and on top of that, the bathroom. Despite their best efforts, there's no way the RATP can keep up.
Why are humans like this?
Adrien lifted his hands to run through his hair, but remembered just how germy this place was and decided against it. He didn't even know if he trusted the soap dispenser, honestly.
Plagg, do you get it?
He couldn't wipe the grin off his face.
I'm free. You're standing in a train station bathroom.
He scowled as Plagg smirked, then sighed. I guess it's time to find shelter.
And cheese.
Yeah, and cheese, among other things. He dumped his phone on the way in, knowing his father would track it. Sure, he might be his legal guardian, but he could still give him a bit of trouble to let him know he's serious.
Going to Turtle Man's house?
Plagg asked, settling onto his shoulder.
Nino?
Adrien sighed. He wanted to go to Marinette, but knew that's the first place his father would send officers for a wellness check.
I have an unorthodox idea instead.
He didn't like the alternative, but he doubted his father would check, and if he did, he knew he could trust her to lie to the police. Adrien Agreste! Chloe Bourgeois stared at him, jaw dropped as she answered the door to her suite.
Hey, Chloe,
he said, raising a hand to wave. You know your dad's going bonkers right now, right?
Yes.
He looked from her to the camera in the hallway, then back.
I need a favor.
She narrowed her eyes. Adrien's?
I'll give you an exclusive Photoshop of me in that necklace you made last week.
He heard her bragging about it to Sabrina during class. Oh? She stepped back with a smirk, placing a hand on her chest like she was flattered as she cocked her head. Will you now?
With tags.
And posing with me as well? He glanced at the camera.
Yeah.
And a kiss?
Chloe.
He shot her a frog-lipped look, his mouth flattened into a line. Just shooting my shot. She kissed the air and stepped out of the doorway. Come on, I have sushi on the way.
Can I,
He went to scratch his neck and realized he still hadn't washed his hands.
Can I borrow your phone, though? And your bathroom?
She arched an eyebrow. In that order?
What? No!
Cool. We're totally doing face masks together, though.
And you're not going to tell my dad?
Ugh, yes. I won't tell anyone you're here, including my Snapchat.
And Instagram story?
Chloe narrowed her eyes. And Instagram story, she muttered, looking away and crossing her arms.
Thank you, Chloe. I mean it.
He held eye contact until she sighed, uncrossing her arms to put a hand on her hip with a smirk. You owe me a big one, Adrikins. His heart glowed.
I know, Chloe. I know.
And she wouldn't let him forget it. But enough of that. He excused himself to the restroom, letting the water run over his hands before adding soap and scrubbing violently, suddenly feeling like even his clothes were dirty. Moving on. He dried them on a towel, hesitating between the black one and the white, wondering if either of them were decoration until realizing Chloe wouldn't wipe her makeup off with a white towel, even if she's rich, and used it to dry his hands. Marinette. He had to tell Marinette he's okay, although he wouldn't tell her where he was. She might be able to keep a secret, but he didn't want to burden her with lying to the police. I'm impressed, Adrikins, Chloe said, lounging on her couch as she scrolled through her phone when he came out. Didn't think you had it in you.
To leave?
To talk to your father. Anything, really. She snapped her gum. I mean, I've gone head-to-head with him and still tucked my tail, if you know what I mean. He did. Chloe always stood up for him, even when they were kids. It's why he knew he could count on her for this. She might have more disdain for his father than Nino did, and that's saying something.
Phone?
For your little girlfriend? He'd hit his face, but he shouldn't be embarrassed. They dated for over 3 months now. Somehow it clicked that he'd also been dating Ladybug for 3 months, but that's a detail he'd have to process later.
Yeah.
I've said it once, and I'll say it again. I hate that you did that to us, Adrian.
Of all people, Du-Peng Chang, he quoted. Ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous.
She rolled her eyes. But I'd be mad if it was anyone else.
Including Ladybug?
She arched her eyebrow again, crossing her arms. Adrien, if you dated Ladybug, I think I might just have to kill her.
Even though you love her?
Ew, toxic. She huffed, then looked down. It's hard to get over being rejected so thoroughly by an idol like that, you know? It'd been a year, but she was still sore. He couldn't blame her. Sure, she should have never had a Miraculous, but hearing she wasn't going to be part of the team through a grapevine would be hard on anyone.
Yeah.
He thought of the stab of him and Ladybug growing apart, then hearing she had a boyfriend. Never mind that it turned out to be him.
Yeah, it is.
Here. She handed him her phone. She's under Moldy Marble. He almost asked about the nickname, but ignored it.
Adrien is safe,
he typed, knowing Marinette was sitting with worry.
Lying low for now. It'll be a cat and mouse game at the church tomorrow.
She'd know what he'd meant.
Thank you,
he said, handing back the phone.
Truly.
All right. She clapped her hands, then threw him a package. Face mask time.
You're going to put unsatisfying blackhead removal videos on YouTube as we do this, aren't you?
Oh, Adrikins, Chloe grinned, all of her pearl white teeth exposed. You know me so well.
Some things never change, he said,
plopping down next to her on the couch. Are we doing hand masks too? The way she wrinkled her nose, grin ever tight, helped him relax. Yeah, this wasn't an awful choice, all things considered. And it came with a bonus perk he hadn't considered when choosing where to seek shelter. Thanks to Chloe, he'd stay hidden, with the bonus of his skin being date night ready. Thank you so much for listening. Comment face mask if you made it all the way to the end. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!